It all started one quiet afternoon. You know, the kind of quiet that's not peaceful but feels like the calm before a storm. That's when I got the call. Karen from Ridgeview HOA, the voice on the other end said, "She demands your cabin key." I laughed. It had to be a joke. But as it turned out, it wasn't. Karen wasn't someone to joke with. She was the self-appointed queen of the Ridgeview Homeowners Association, the kind of person who thought she could control everyone and everything. And right then she was trying to take control of me. I had just moved into my new cabin in Montana. After the divorce, after everything that felt like it was slipping away, I wanted a place that was just mine, a place where I could breathe. A little cedar house perched above a valley in the Montana wilderness, built 30 years ago, the only place where the noise in my head finally went quiet. It wasn't much, just a cabin, a workbench, and the sound of wind through the trees. But it was mine, a sanctuary from the chaos of life, the kind of place I could shut the door and truly be alone. But Karen, she had different ideas. The first morning in my new place, I was drinking my coffee boxes scattered around, trying to make the place feel like home. It was still early. The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, the taste still too hot on my tongue. And that's when I heard it. The unmistakable sound of heels striking wood like a metronome. Someone was walking inside my cabin. I turned around and there she was, Bethany Crowell, the queen of the HOA, already inside my home. She didn't knock, didn't say anything, just walked right past me, heading straight for the mantel. She ran her fingers along it like she was inspecting it for dirt, like she owned the place. "Mr. Carter," she said, not even looking up, "we need your house key." I blinked, trying to process what was happening. My house key? For what reason? "For emergency access," she replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "We maintain a central lockbox. All residents provide a physical key upon move-in. It's mandatory." I was dumbfounded. She couldn't be serious. I had just moved in. I hadn't even signed up for utilities yet. "Ma'am, I just moved in. I haven't even signed up for utilities yet." She didn't care. She didn't even look at me when she said, "That's why I'm here." Compliance precedes comfort. The phrase hit me wrong. I set my coffee down slowly. "I'm not handing over a key." She tilted her head like I'd disappointed her, like I had just failed some unwritten test. "Mr. Carter, refusal triggers a non-compliance protocol. I'm giving you a chance to avoid unnecessary penalties." I stepped between her and the door. "I didn't invite you inside." She ignored me, and that's when I knew things weren't going to stay civil. She pulled out her phone thumb, hovering ready to make the call. "Then I'll call the sheriff to document your refusal." "For not giving you a key to my own cabin?" I asked, incredulous. "For obstructing community safety," she corrected, her tone as cold as her eyes. "And for unauthorized interaction with an HOA officer." The heat that rose in my chest wasn't anger, though. It was that quiet, focused irritation you get when you feel like you're about to face something bigger than you realized. Something that's going to blow up whether you want it to or not. It was the same pressure I'd felt during dam failure inspections, when even the smallest crack meant disaster. I didn't back down. "I'm not refusing safety protocols. I'm refusing your access. That's different." She stepped closer. Too close. I could see the flecks of gold in her contacts. "Your key, Mr. Carter." Simple. No. That's when it hit me. She wasn't going to let this go. And she wasn't about to stop just because I said no. "You'll regret that choice," she said, her voice finally matching the steel behind her immaculate appearance. "The HOA will take appropriate action." She turned, walked toward the door, and I called after her. "Why do you need the key so badly, Bethany?" She froze, just for a moment, and then she walked out without answering. The door closed behind her, and suddenly my cabin felt smaller. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was thick, heavy, like something was about to crack. I stared at the red notice she'd left on the table. Mandatory key submission, 24 hours. Why was she so obsessed with this key? Why was she so insistent on having access? The questions rolled through my mind the whole day. When the sheriff's cruiser pulled up that afternoon, I had my answer. Bethany had already escalated things. Sheriff Morales got out slowly, one hand resting on his belt, the other raised in a half wave. "Morning, Jake," he said. "Let me guess," I said. "Bethany." He exhaled through his nose. "She called it in. Reported a resident refusing emergency access compliance and acting hostile toward HOA authority. Hostile for standing in my own cabin and saying no." I told him the whole story. how she'd walked in without knocking, how she demanded the key like she had a right to it. Morales nodded slowly like he already knew how this would go. He'd dealt with Bethany before. He'd seen her stretch the rules. I'm obligated to check Jake, but I've had dealings with Bethany before. She likes to stretch her borders. Stretch. What does that even mean? She's been running things here for so long that she thinks she can make anyone fold. Most folks just pay up or move. But I'm guessing you're not going to do either. He was right. I wasn't going to back down. As the day went on, my phone buzzed with fines. Non-compliance, emergency access fee, $250, then $500. It felt like a siege, and Karen was the general throwing everything she could at me. I logged into the HOA portal to see what they were claiming, and that's when I found it the loophole she'd invented just for me. Under Ridgeview Perimeter Zone, my cabin was flagged as subject to emergency considerations. It was a loophole that allowed her to claim authority over my land even though it was outside the HOA's jurisdiction. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about a key. She wasn't after a simple key. She was after control. The next morning, she arrived again with a locksmith in tow. She was all business, no smile this time. You've ignored the compliance notices, she said, like I had some duty to obey her. I wasn't having it. It's not a key problem, I said. It's an access problem. She ignored me and directed the locksmith to remove the obstruction. But there was no keyhole, no latch, just my biometric scanner. The locksmith was confused. This looks like federal infrastructure grade, he muttered. He wasn't touching it. Bethany's face turned red. I need access, now. I stepped forward. You're looking at it. You'll just need to register your face. That was the moment everything changed. She thought she could twist the rules. She thought she could bulldoze me into submission. But she was wrong. I wasn't going to bend. She stormed off. But that wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Because when someone like Bethany feels like they're losing control, they don't give up. They escalate. And that's exactly what she did. The fines started piling up. The threats got worse. Forced entry, water safety reviews. It wasn't about safety. It was about her control. And she would stop at nothing to get it back. I spent hours in the HOA portal cross-referencing every document, every bylaw, every payment. And that's when I found it. The financial fraud. Bethany had been funneling money through a shell company owned by her cousin, Marcus Hale. They'd been using fake inspections and falsified reports to collect payments from the HOA for a cabin that wasn't even vacant. She had been running a scam for years, and I was the one who had exposed it just by moving in. The stakes kept rising, and then one night it all came to a head. Bethany sent contractors to force their way into my cabin. But Sheriff Morales, backed by neighbors who had finally had enough, stopped her cold. In the end, Bethany was exposed. Her empire came crashing down piece by piece. And my cabin, my land, was safe. But it wasn't just about winning. It was about taking a stand. About refusing to let someone else control your life. And in the end, that's what really mattered. I stood on the porch looking out over the valley, knowing that I'd won not just for myself, but for everyone who had been too afraid to stand up to Bethany. The ridge was mine now, not because I fought hard, but because I refused to fold. And if you've ever had to fight for your peace, if you've ever had to stand your ground, drop a yes in the comments. You're not alone in this fight. And if you believe in justice and standing up for what's right, hit that subscribe button. More stories are coming your way.